I'm trying to figure out about the concept of feeling uncomfortable, offensive language making you uncomfortable. Can you tell me some examples of language that would make you uncomfortable? Like, what can I say that would make you feel bad? I'm not going to say it, but man.
I don't know, probably like insults.
Okay. Personal.
Yeah. I'm gay, so I guess slurs against gay people would be one.
Okay.
Something like creepy or like heavily sexual in the wrong context.
Okay. Would you also be uncomfortable when you hear it secondhand? So if I'm an asshole to someone else?
Yeah, probably not as much, but I'd be like, wow, that guy's an asshole.
So do you think that should be state regulated? I guess the question is where something offensive becomes harassment, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how it's the law in Canada, but in some places, yeah, it has changed that you can have harassment only by one time verbal being an asshole. Whereas in the past, harassment was a repeated verbal.
Yeah.
Would you stipulate to that? Like, is it possible to say something to someone once that would still justify paying a fine for it? Or,
I mean, yeah, depending on the seriousness of it.
Okay.
Like,
so if somebody would tell you something horrible just once, they still might be good to pay a fine for it.
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you're doing it maliciously.
Okay.
Now, would I actually go through the process of somebody insulting me just one time? Probably not. But I think that
if you wanted to
if I wanted to, then I should be able to.
Okay.
But I probably wouldn't if it was just a one-time thing because it's a one-off, right?
Fair enough. Can I get your opinion? If somebody tells me something extremely horrible, would I have the right to press charges and get this person fined?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But are you going to take the time out of your day for just one person saying something to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then that's up to me. If the law gives me permission to do that, it's good to have the option. For example, if somebody hits me physically, then that it doesn't need to happen repetitively, right? I can just
Yeah,
so
I feel like it should be the same premise.
With the verbal violence.
Sure.
Okay, interesting. For me, it's hard to digest. Of course, I don't want to be an asshole to people. Then the premise is that some verbal pain can be similar even to physical pain, right?
Yeah.
Even more sometimes if it wakes up some kind of trauma. And if the person says, but I didn't mean to offend you, I was like hot-tempered. I don't know. It's hard for me to agree on that, but
I feel like it would be, you know,
it's the same thing if you're at a pub and you get angry and you get in a fight. It was only one time thing, but you still done it. So what's the difference?
One would say physical versus verbal.
But verbal can be much worse than physical. If you say something to somebody, you don't know what they're going through in that day. They could go back and go home and kill themselves.
What I see sometimes, for example, in demonstrations, right? You can have somebody who holds a sign and the sign has very offensive language to some people. And then the people that are offended by the sign can come to the person who holds the sign and scream slurs to their face. And this is somehow socially acceptable as long as they don't touch them. Would you agree? So
it's
first,
a bit of a different scenario. You're talking about a protest now. So it's not you walking up to me on the side of the street.
Let's say, and I would never do that, but let's say I hold a sign that writes a slur, right?
Yeah.
That offends you deeply. And then you can feel justified, maybe fairly enough, to come and verbally respond with abusive language to me. Is that fair to say?
I don't think it's right to react to it, but I probably would say something if it was offending me. But the reality of it is holding up that sign with the offensive language is starting it, not me retaliating against it.
So I have already made the offense, and if you wanted me to get some repercussions, you would better call some authority and...
Exactly. Be like, there's somebody walking around with this sign that slur on it, right?
Yeah. And I guess that's why many of the causes are hiding behind the innocent words, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you say, for example, pro-life, that can be very offensive for someone, even right. There is nothing literally wrong with the terms, but what means behind it. Do you feel like, again, it's a bit of politics, but do you feel like Canada is in a good place? Is it a bit too permissive, the government, or?
I think it's in a good place. I mean, our economy is horrible, but for like
protecting its citizens.
Yeah, it's pretty good for that stuff.
Protecting the citizens is good.
Like having the ability to choose how you want to live your life. It's very open in that way. And I think that everybody deserves that chance of having a choice in how they go live the way that they want to. Like,
would you say there is such thing as too much freedom or not? Like if I say I want to be free to do any type of drug I want and I want to drive free without the helmet, should I be free to do so? Or because it's my personal choice, like I don't harm anyone else, presumably.
Yeah, I think those laws are in place to protect yourself. That's why they're laws. But if it's only hurting yourself and it's your freedom and you want to take the risk, then you should be allowed to take that risk. If you want to do drugs, if you want to drive without a helmet, like it's your own life. Why is somebody that isn't even a part of your life writing regulations on how you're supposed to live it?
So let's say the example with the helmet, because it's not that I will damage someone else if I have an accident without the helmet. I would only damage myself. So would you be confident to say, you know what, it would be better that we don't find people who don't wear a seatbelt or they don't wear a helmet?
I think it's just kind of a way to keep people from doing it for their own safety.
But it's
Well,
personal.
what about all of your insurance and stuff like that? Who has to pay if you get hurt?
That's true too.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody has to pay. So the government or an insurance company is going to have to pay medical bills. Then they have the right to tell you what is required when you're operating that vehicle.
I guess. And those fines are more so of a way
Deterrent.
to pay,
Okay.
to pay for the
So
medical.
if I would say I want to forfeit the benefit of being insured about head injuries without the helmet, then the police officer shouldn't write me the fine. Let's say.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
I guess if they're taking away the only kind of power, then they should be able to, whatever. Right? It's not like when anybody's going to pay for it if you forfeited your coverage for insurance or anything.
Yeah, I think respectfully, this is where I start seeing things maybe going a bit. I like freedom as much as the next person, but at the same time, I don't trust myself in all domains that I can take the rational, responsible decision every time. So sometimes I wish somebody, maybe it's family, maybe it's the state, forces me to something that in the moment I feel like, you let me live my life. What do I bother you?
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe it was like, is there a place for such kind of authoritarian guidance in life? Because again, my understanding is some societies maybe go a little bit too far, and maybe it's a little bit easier to go to drugs in a place where it's socially acceptable to do drugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you go to this downward spiral and you ruin your life. And some of these people may wish, oh, I wish the police would have stopped me the first, whatever, those.
Yeah, I guess some form of authority is beneficial, but also most people want to be good. You know what I mean? If they had the freedom, they would choose to do the right thing. I find more so people want to do the wrong thing because it's a rule and they're breaking it and they want to rebel against it. You know?
Like just for the thrill of the system.
Exactly.
Okay.
You know, if a lot of the time, most people, they want to do the right thing. I think deep down, it's part of our core, right? You don't want to feel like a shitty person.
But not feeling like a shitty person and doing the right thing don't always go together, I think.
But it's too...
Sometimes the right thing makes you feel like an ass. I don't know.
But is it maybe, I guess, and different people have different views of what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing. So I guess it just comes down to the person and what they feel is...
Let's say my child wants to eat yet another donut. And my child is not fat. He can eat it, okay? And please, like, okay, no. We say you want donut, it's on the, why it's not the right thing to let him do it?
I guess
is it not?
it's kind of teaching him restraint.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a big deal. Sometimes the law is like, in a case-to-case basis. I live in Germany. I come from Greece, by the way. So, for example, in Greece, we cross the lights when the street is free. We don't, especially as pedestrians, we don't look on. In Germany, you can see the road is completely empty and people are waiting for the green light to walk across. In my culture, this is crazy. But then I understand that, if you don't have to question the law, there's a super logic that says, okay, it doesn't make any sense if you see it on a case-to-case basis. But if you see it as a habit that this is how you live your life, then you will never have an accident, pretty much. Or like, I don't know, if you drive, the turning signals. I learned that I will put the turning signals even if there's no one on the street. Because that's what you do when you turn. Even if it's stupid.
It's made into a habit.
It's stupid on a case-to-case basis, but it's not stupid as a habit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see the parallel I'm trying to draw in terms of the law. So let's say you may have all the reasons to do this drug and it will actually benefit your life personally that day. But because so many other people doing the same thing would be worse off, you have to pay the price of being limiting your freedom by some state or by your family or by some strict authoritarian who is unreasonable on the individual case, but reasonable on the context. I'm trying to figure those things out. I don't even understand them myself. Do you have some thoughts?
No, I guess, I don't know. Just like back to the helmet. Even if you were to sign it off, how is it affecting other people? So maybe the guy that hit you, you signed off your coverage or your liability, but how's that other person how's he going to feel knowing that you're seriously injured and the helmet could have prevented it all? So now you have his mental health at risk as well.
So you say, even if it sounds like it doesn't affect other people, it actually does.
Yes.
Okay. But isn't that the same for other personal choices? For example, more controversial things like how to dress. Or if you would choose fat, or you would choose to make, like what we said, to hold the sign with something that some people find offensive. Everything affects other people to some extent, right?
Sure.
Then automatically it limits our freedom to be our authentic selves in a way. That's what I'm trying.
I guess, kind of, to have a standard of living. I don't think it's possible to live life without it affecting anybody else. So even if you're doing something that you see to be the right thing to do, it could be the wrong thing for somebody else. So no matter what you're doing, you're upsetting somebody. Why not just live the way you want to live?
Do you stand for that? I don't know.
I mean, like, if you're if I do one thing, I'm going to piss somebody off. If I do the other thing, I'm going to piss somebody off. So why not just do whatever I feel benefits me?
So I would agree that anything consequential, anything you do that is besides staying in your house playing video games, you piss no one off, but then that's a boring life.
Piss your mom.
Exactly.
Okay.
You piss somebody off.
Anything consequential, somebody will not like. I agree with that. But it may be worth to do the calculus to see.
Who am I going to piss off
I'm willing,
the least?
it's like when I'm doing these interviews or I like to play street music. I want to be sure that more people like it than they are annoyed, because some people are annoyed that, they want their day. They want to hear piano today in the park. They came to hear the birds. So actually I have had negative feedback. I'm like, fuck, I'm pissing some people. How many people I'm pissing off? If it's a very small amount and then I get enough positive feedback, otherwise maybe, I think social pressure is to be taken seriously. Yeah, I don't know. I love it. I love talking with people that I don't agree completely with. It's not about the person, right?
Yeah.
It's about the concept.
Yeah.
Okay. One last question. Thank you so much that you give me so much of your time. I like Jordan Peterson. Do you have opinion on that guy? Some people hate him. Some people love him. Some people don't follow.
Who?
There's this Canadian psychologist that he's very against Trudeau, actually.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Trudeau
Yeah,
either.
many people are not. And,
Well, he's just driving our economy into the ground. Yeah,
how?
I'm talking about Trudeau.
Okay.
Yeah, how he hates Trudeau. I mean, I dislike him too because he's costing our country a lot of money.
You said you don't like Peterson, but also you don't like Trudeau. I was lost.
I said I don't like Trudeau.
Okay,
not a
but
fan.
what about Peterson?
I don't know who he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know who he is either.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much.